Welcome back to Bottle.It Podcast. We have an exciting 2024-2025 ahead. We have taken a little break from the podcast arena, whether that's YouTube or Spotify, since our From Long COVID to Ironman episode. We've only done a couple of interviews, a few successful interviews with Reece Corbishley, who's just recently won Ironman Australia in his age group. Absolutely amazing performance, and we hope to get him back into the studio to get a recap of that race. Jamie Hilditch did a recap of the 48-hour run with Bigsy, which was an amazing insight into mindset and mental health. And also Bigsy's been in to discuss his 48-hour fundraiser for Bottle.It. So there has still been episodes pumping out, but from a personal point of view, since From Long COVID to Ironman, it's been fairly quiet. I haven't been providing updates. Basically, for anybody not familiar with that series, we did a whole series journaling my training process from, long COVID all the way up to Busselton Ironman. Unfortunately, 10 days out from Busselton Ironman, I got COVID again and was unable to race. I still went over and I still supported the guys in Floral and other athletes compete at Busselton, and basically showed face, but didn't race. And the ramifications of that, or I think the process of that didn't really sink in until a couple of months ago. Did I actually realize how much it took out of me, how much it took out of the family, and basically not getting that red carpet, not getting that finish line, how that actually affected training afterwards and training desire moving into Port Macquarie Ironman, Cairns Ironman, and just basically 2024. It really knocked the wind out of the sails without me kind of realizing until I went to go again. Now, we do have exciting news. There's a huge development where there's a huge groundswell of support for Bottle.It through 2024, and basically there's a new series coming. Very excitingly, there's going to be a new series coming following my journey. I can't give away much more than that at the moment. However, preparations have started. I started basically 3 weeks ago, moving towards a large goal. I look forward to sharing that with you guys very soon. However, before I can move on and before I can do the next series, I feel the need to finish up the Long COVID to Ironman series I started before, and where I left that at episode 13 before Busselton Ironman. There are a few concepts that were constantly brought up, and issues, or not issues, just things that happen with Ironman training that I really wanted to dive deep on, and never really got the opportunity. I was hoping to do it after Busselton Ironman. I guess this is after Busselton Ironman, but I need to kind of finish those up before I can start the next one. So one of the constant things that continually kept popping up throughout that episode was alcohol free. Basically went alcohol free for 2 months, and the positive impact that had on my life, and basically when it comes to weight loss, clarity of thought, sleep, just all the benefits of going alcohol free. I wanted to do a whole episode focusing on the benefits of that, but also in contrast, I can't get too preachy about the benefits of alcohol, because as soon as I got to Busselton and I wasn't racing, I'm back on the tins, and I kind of stayed on the tins for a good 2-3 months, and the weight come back on, and I was back to where I started. However, I feel I now have a tool up my sleeve that I can access and use, and Bottle.It's all about sharing those tools. And some of the conversations I had with other athletes about going alcohol free were kind of nice. I'm definitely going to jump into another short episode about being alcohol free and the pros and cons. Busselton in reflection, what I learned from Busselton, what I learned as part of my prep, what I got right, what I got wrong, and basically, is a coach worth it? Now that's a big one. That's a conversation that we see age group athletes have all the time. So this episode, we might keep it as one episode, and I'll do it in chapters, and I'll list it as one episode, but have different chapters that I'm gonna, I might throw some music in between so they're there. That way I'm not doing 4 uploads of an episode. So without further ado, let's whip into what we're going to start with. Might play some music now. Alcohol free. Now, during the Busselton prep, I did go alcohol free, and it was absolutely amazing. It fully changed. It changed my health. I lost a considerable amount of weight. Put 3 weekends together without alcohol, and the weight fell off. I was sleeping better. The inflammation in my joints, especially being a larger athlete and carrying weight, was non-existent. Like, I was recovering better. I was sleeping better. and just generally feeling better. The energy levels definitely were up. So everything you hear, this is one of those amazing things that people kind of exist with their head in the sand about alcohol free, because it's like doing anything with weight loss or training. It's hard. It's really hard to go alcohol free. And so yeah, a lot of people just kind of look for other areas to make shortcuts to avoid dealing with the big one, which is, just putting the bottle down. So the 2 months of Busselton sober were amazing. It's one of those things that's an amazing tool that I think it's overlooked a lot for a lot of people for mental health. We see things like Dry July, different variations of that, October. Like, everybody can go 30 days, and they treat it as a great reset. And it's great to see people access that. And I strongly recommend anybody who's struggling with their mental health, struggling with weight loss, to even just try going 2-3 weeks without a drink. If you are somebody that doesn't, don't always have to be drinking during the week, but if you're a big weekend drinker, or you don't mind knocking a few in, if you're struggling and you're not having a great time, definitely that's a free option to explore that will make significant changes to your mental health. Like, it was really cool to do a comparison. I had 2 weekends consecutively recently. One was the Easter long weekend with my family up at Laurelton, and the following weekend we had a training camp at Port Macquarie for the Ironman. So one weekend, because of the social norms and basically I think our family history of knowing what to do and how to do it, we consumed alcohol through social anxiety, and just through, it was a pretty emotionally charged weekend up there, spreading the ashes of my mum. So alcohol was the one comforter, or the one thing that kind of just took the edge off. And that is where alcohol definitely has its pros and cons, is that it's seen as a bit of a, you can lean on it a little bit more than you need to get through those situations in your life, just to feel a little bit more comfort. And we did. It was probably 2 days of 2 to 3 days of just starting drinking at lunch, and just kind of keeping through the afternoon, and then having a few more at dinner, and just waking up, especially with kids, just waking up consecutive days with a hangover and trying to find the energy to stay active and do things. It was an absolute punish. And then driving home on the Monday feeling like absolute crap. You've just had a long weekend where you're meant to be recharged and have a great weekend, and you're driving back into work just feeling heavy, bloated, headache, like all the same things. And you start chasing some comfort food and just feeling terrible, just not feeling good at all. And then in contrast, the weekend, maybe 2 weekends after that, we're back up at Port Macquarie, and we had a training weekend with not a drop of alcohol. You drive home Sunday night after training, eating clean, and not sinking piss, and you're charged up. Like, despite the fatigue from training, like, you're ready to go. Like, you're keen for the week. You've got that mental clarity. You feel good. You look good. Like, just everything was just flowing. It just felt really nice to be driving back down that highway with a better approach to the week ahead. So it was a real eye-opener into just ways to mitigate your weekend, I guess. I don't know, you don't need a training weekend every weekend to stay off the drink, but definitely by planning and having things planned for the weekend that were away from alcohol, it definitely made it easier to charge through. So that'd be the hot tip. If you're looking to navigate away from alcohol, put yourself in positions where it's not present, or you're doing something like go get away from your usual social cues or your drinking cues. Like, don't, be somewhere where it's not going to be prevalent, or avoid social situations where drinking is going to be relied on. So in conclusion, it was kind of really, alcohol free was great, and I used it effectively to get myself to the start line at Ironman. Would I go alcohol free for a long period of time? No. I absolutely love alcohol. Like, I think having a drink with your mates, after having a big stressful week, cracking a tin with your missus or your mates and having a laugh, it is social lubricant. And I understand why people go cold turkey and why people stop drinking, and I can appreciate how hard it is for those guys to exist without drinking. It must be an absolute logistical nightmare. It must feel really socially different and from what you're used to. And I don't know how. I'd love to get somebody in to speak about how it's mitigated and what are great ways to do it, because I'm definitely not bashing either side of the argument here. I'm somebody who sits firmly on the fence, and I enjoy knowing now that if my head noise gets a little bit too much, or if I need to focus, or I need a bit of determination, I can go alcohol free and achieve that. It's also a great little reward to know that you have the willpower and the self-control that you can go alcohol free and stick to it for a period of time. So that was a win within itself. From a family point of view and a social point of view, I didn't realize how much it was going to affect my partner. Me being off the drink, like as much as I was drinking alcohol-free beer, it's just different. I think when you relied for 14 years of your relationship to have a drink on a Friday night and just get a little bit silly and have a laugh and have a vent, and you take that away, it's really hard. It's difficult. I didn't realize until after I come back from Busselton and I was talking to Ali about it, and definitely not. I mentioned the whole episode series how supportive Ali was in regards to me training, and and she was amazing. She never once brought up during the training, but after I'd finished and I'd come back from Busselton, it was kind of like, hey, next time you do something like this, let's plan it out a little bit better. Let's be a bit more proactive with how it's going to do, because we'd become 14 years of having a tin and a margarita on a Friday night. Like, you take that off the table and you're there cleaning the kitchen while your wife's sitting in the lounge. It just kind of took something off the table for our relationship, and I wasn't prepared for that with that prep. So moving forward, it's going to be a different approach. Definitely far less alcohol. I reckon far less to closer to the date, zero alcohol. It's definitely a tool that needs to be accessed. However, yeah, I think it needed to be planned a little bit better to avoid tension in a relationship. Now that's it's an interesting concept. Probably should have thought a bit more about this before I hit record. That you've got someone who's supporting you financially, supporting you in the relationship, supporting your lifestyle, but then to find out that a big part of your relationship, not a big part of your relationship, or part of you socially gets taken off the table during these preps. I think that's a valid point. Like, a lot of people come out and argue really hardly that, they should be supportive or they should be doing that. And yeah, 100% that needs to be the case. And that is the case with all the preps that I've had. But it's also important to realize that, if a large part of your personality is, on the tins, or the person you are when you're on the tins, I think you need to be prepared to park that person and, mitigate that situation for that period of time. And, it's pros and cons. You have to park your personality, or park, it was a real, to be self-reflective on who you are and who people think you are due to alcohol was a real eye-opener, and something that I really struggled with, especially coming back from Busselton and just drinking and training and celebrating, obviously, Bigsy's event and celebrating Christmas and getting through these massive, I had to get through Christmas without mum, and then, we've had anniversaries that have all, some pretty heavy things going on with our family that when you've spent, 18 years of your life processing emotions with alcohol, and you're trying your best not to stay on alcohol or use alcohol because the negative connotations, it does present its own, I think, this own argument in your head, or this conflicting thought process of, you're like, well, which is the lesser of the evil? Like, can I go sober through this event and deal with, the repercussions of not being able to get out socially and have a laugh and process that? Or, do I need to, should I be sober and process this stuff correctly and then deal with the kind of the new path that I'm going to go down? So definitely very conflicting, going alcohol free and trying to stay alcohol free. I don't know what the answer is. There's absolutely no, hopefully there was something in that last ramble that can help you if you're thinking about doing it. I definitely think it's worth doing if you've tried a few things and you can't get some clarity on thought. Ditch alcohol, even for a short term. Just have a look at it, see what's presented, see what that clarity of thought opens up, and you might like it. It might be the catalyst you need for change, and it is one of those really empowering things that if you can get off alcohol for a period of time, whatever you say it is when you start, it's like training. It's like, I'm going to run 10Ks, and you go out and run 10Ks, you feel great. If you say, I'm going to go this weekend without drinking, and you go the whole weekend without drinking, it's a win, and we're all about the little wins here at Bottle.It. So yeah, overall my experience with going alcohol free was amazing. I lost weight, I felt better. However, I lost a large chunk of my personality, and it's something that I missed, and I'm not ready to park that. I think that part of my personality, or that part of my social life, just yet. I think there's a way that you can, like most things, there's balance needs to be achieved. And, you know, if you are training for something absolutely massive, go alcohol free. But if you're just existing, make a smart choice. If you can exist with alcohol in moderation, go nuts. Get those lols, get those laughs, have a great time. But if you need change, if you need to go seek some mental help, if it's coming too much, definitely know that you have the power to plan around it and get off the grog. There's definitely some benefit there. Happy to answer any questions and DMs about that one too. It was something that I had a few conversations come out of the episode series of people that have also found sobriety and, you know, speak about pros and cons, and definitely happy to talk about some personal experiences and that at length if anybody's looking to get off the bottle. Yeah. Number 2, let's go Busso in reflection before I get into the coaching one. Busso in reflection was one of those things where I kind of use the strength of others to get through. I financially outlaid a fair chunk of coin to get to Busselton. I was lucky to have partnerships with Virgin through Danny, and just doing some speaking corporate gigs that they were able to help with the flights. But between accommodation and being in Western Australia for a week, I was out of pocket a fair chunk. I was out of time, like I took time off work, I had annual leave, I had everything lined up to go over there. But the one thing that there was two really important lessons that I kind of kept coming back to. Just one, sorry, I'm going to save the second one for later. Adam Becker, we went up to Cairns in 2022 to watch Paddy McNamara race. We're actually meant to be up there to watch Becker and Paddy race. Becker pulled out close to the start line. He just didn't feel 100%, couldn't give it his 100%, and didn't want to apply himself to a race where he just wasn't in it. He still went through with the flight, and he still went to support Paddy, and it was absolutely amazing. And I was just talking to him when we got there on the first day. I was like, mate, how do you feel? What's going on? And he was really proactive with, it's not about me. I'm here to support Paddy. I'll worry about me, next week. I'll worry about trying to get a refund from Ironman or change my ticket from Ironman next week. For the moment, I'm just here to support Paddy. And I kind of took great strength in that mindset, or that kind of approach to the event. There was still 4-5 athletes racing in Floral, and found more when I got over there in the hats and met some amazing people from the West Coast that are in the Bottle.It community. And I basically just focused on them, tried my best to focus on them rather than focus on myself. I made the call really early not to race. Once I knew I couldn't run around the block here in Bronte, I knew that doing an Ironman off the bike doing a marathon off the bike just wasn't a possibility if I couldn't run around the block without running out of breath. So I made the call early, and I really just doubled down my attention on both. We had Noah Finnemore racing and Chris Johns. Reese was over there racing, one of the OG Bottle.It Ironman. We had Emily McPhee. The McPhee family were there. It was unreal. Glenn was racing the aqua bike, which I didn't know was an option in the 70.3. That was really cool. And McPhee got redemption. She didn't finish at Port Macquarie due to the weather, blowing her off a bike, which wasn't fair. So it was good to see her over in Busselton get that finish line feeling in 2023. So I just focused on supporting. I just doubled down on that and took my mind off it, and I was still able to see the basically the amazing community that Ironman have, and the traveling community that Ironman have, that you get to see faces at each event. And I had a ball. Busselton was an amazing location for a race. I can't recommend Busselton Ironman highly enough. It gets called flat. Everyone knows it's a fast track. It's definitely a fast track. I wouldn't call it. Any athlete I spoke to afterwards, they didn't say there's never going to be an easy Ironman. Like it was no easier than any of the other Ironman locations. Faster potentially because of the elevation on the ride and the road surfaces, but definitely not easier. The wind brought its own challenges. That constant wind was a factor. The heat was another factor. So yeah, it was same but different Busselton Ironman. It was great to be over there, great to support. Didn't get FOMO. It was one of those things. I still wasn't 100% spectating, so I knew to be on the course wasn't an option that was going to be available. So I knew I made the right choice fairly early in that trip over. So that was cool. The Monday after the race, watching the roll down was unreal, and then obviously I just want to give a quick shout out to Koa. Both Greg and Tim put the the Koa card down and held an after party after the roll down, and I was really appreciative to go and have a beer with those guys and meet a few of their athletes and hang out with a few of the guys that had raced. Busselton cleared out really quickly after the roll down. A lot of people getting back to Perth, and Busselton itself's a small town, so it was good to have a bar or a brewery. It was a brewery set up that a lot of the athletes and the Ironman staff could come down and have a beer and get around each other. So yeah, thanks to the guys at Koa for that. It was enjoyed the hospitality, myself and the Bottle.It guys. So thank you for that. Busselton, I'll be back. I've got unfinished business at Busselton. I've got one of my close mates lives over in Perth. It was great to go see him. I'll be heading back to race. That's not the big announcement, but yeah, Busselton in 2024 is still on. So if you're on the fence thinking about Busselton Ironman, there's Floral going over. We've already got, I think, 6 athletes booked in. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, definitely lock it in. Start looking at accommodation, and I'll share some more information about Busselton Ironman as we get closer. But yeah, definitely throw that on the agenda. Righto. Lucky third, we're at the 20-minute mark, which is the longest episode we've done. So third thing, is a coach worth it? Do you need a coach to do your Ironman? Is a coach something you need? Are they worth it? Do you need one? Can you afford it? Like, there are so many questions that come out about the coaching, having a coach. And I wanted to rip into that with a real honest point of view and a real honest opinion about how I find coaching. So we did our first Ironman at Port Macquarie 2022 as Bottle.It. We didn't have a coach. We had an athlete, Adam Becker, who'd raced in Kona before. He'd done a few Ironmans and had a huge chunk of knowledge about not only the Ironman training required, but also a strong Pilates background. So we're using him for a lot of advice and information. Paddy McNamara was with us. He is a runner, an absolutely amazing ASIC-sponsored runner. So for the running stuff, we had Paddy. We felt pretty content between the brains of the 5 of us and what we were consuming from the internet and what we could find about Port Macquarie, that we could establish a training program based off that. And it's one of those cool things, you only know what you know, and that's what we knew, and we were kind of content with that rolling into it. I wasn't doing any running. I had a Achilles injury. I had a few things going on, and I told myself it was okay not to run as much before doing an Ironman, which in hindsight is pretty laughable in itself. Now, one of the cool things about doing Port Macquarie without an Ironman, and I'm going to compare this to Port Macquarie 2022 without an Ironman, without a coach, and then roll it forward to 2023, Cairns 70.3 prep and Busso prep, with the coaching experience with the coach overlooking my program and keeping an eye on me. So they're the comparisons I've got. It was also great to see someone like Reece Corbishley from 2022. And I've spoke about this in his podcast episode. Went from uncoached to coached and went to Kona and raced at Kona and PB'd at Kona, like with the coach. So he's gone from Port Macquarie, which is a pretty difficult course, and it's known as it's the hardest course in Australia. It's why Ironman Australia is held there. Like, it's a tough course. But then he went from that to Kona, which is the hardest endurance day event in sport. Like, it's literally on a lava field, and it's disgustingly hot, and he PB'd it. So there's the performance results of having a coach speak for itself with just that example alone. But watching him be coached by Clint at RPG, and then having my own experience with Clint heading into Cairns 70.3 and Busselton Ironman, that's the comparison I'm going off. So full disclosure, RPG coaching, I've used RPG coaching and my friendship with RPG coaching ever since 2022. I met Clint at Port Macquarie Ironman. I spoke extensively from long COVID to Ironman about using Clint and Clint's advice and Clint's program, and I've spoke amazingly positively about Clint basically since 2022, and that's not going to change. So this may come across as fairly biased and positive towards Clint and RPG, but I'm still going to have a foot in the Port Macquarie 2022 camp to give you some contrast and so you can make your own decision. Basically, the pros of not having a coach for Port Macquarie were basically you could kind of make it up as you went, and there's fun in not being accountable. So there was no program to follow. We had a rough guide that we needed to ride a certain distance, run off the bike, and run long on a Sunday. And weekends were always the big weekends. As long as we're getting Sundays out, we kind of felt like we're okay. And during the week, as long as you're doing something on each day, whether that's riding, running, swimming, you tick on boxes and then try to get your strength work in. When you're making it up as you go, there's no accountability, and there's kind of, you can take your foot off the throttle and you can make excuses, and if there's nobody checking your work, you can basically, I think you can get a little bit lazy with what you do. Like you just don't do it. Like that's just, if you're not the kind of person that has accountability or a strong drive, you basically just kind of just cruise through, and that's really cool. And I think that's where you'll start the conversation with, do you need a coach? If you're racing an Ironman and you're investing so much money into doing an Ironman, are you doing it to complete it? Like you're just going to have fun and then you'll finish and you're happy with your medal and you'll go home? Or is someone who wants to learn, perform, and continue to grow as an athlete? Is that what you're looking for? So ask yourself the hard questions really, really early. Like, what do you want out of your event experience, whether that's a triathlon, an Ironman, half Ironman, whatever you are doing, what do you want out of it? Do you just want to finish and have some fun, or do you want to actually perform and learn? I guess would be the really quick question to ask. But the things that we took away from Port when we're making it up as we went is that you're making everything up. You're making nutrition advice up. Your tactics were made up. Like everything kind of come with a sense of guesswork, and even up to the race where you're trying to figure out what you're going to eat and what you're going to do, and you're copying other people, and you're kind of making things up. And we did. I basically did everything as I thought I was going to do it in my head. I swam hard, I rode hard, and then I got to the run, and it was just a case of survival. And by the time I got to the run, there wasn't much surviving. Like it was a shuffle. I kind of shuffled through town. I walked 60%, I reckon, of the Ironman course, and had nothing in the legs, couldn't eat, couldn't drink, and basically kind of fell apart from a performance point of view. Enjoyed it, absolutely loved it, met some amazing people on the walk, learnt about kind of endurance and what your body does after 10, 12 hours of exercise and the places you go. And, like I said, I still finished and still had a great day. Like, the Ironman experience was absolutely amazing. However, that haunts me. The time that I finished in haunts me. Like, I finished an Ironman, but I know that with some knowledge and some, prior planning, I've kind of got the capacity to go faster. And that was the itch that kind of kept me coming back and keeps me coming back to Ironman, is that, gee, if I did this different, if I knew this, or I knew what I knew now, I could do so much better. And that's what kept me coming back. So, yeah, uncoached, fun, great, cruisy. You could be a bit more selective with your training hours. You could be a bit more selective with the output and accountability. Then moving into the coach experience with Clint for 70.3 and Busso. Now, this was day and night difference. Using Training Peaks to be accountable for training, having a planned program, and having somebody look over your program and look over how much you're doing, which I think is a huge factor. And one of those things, I talk about time, and everyone talks about time with training. Now, I saved an incredible amount of time having a coach, and that's probably one of the things to factor into the money side of things too. Because I had a plan a week, potentially 2 weeks ahead of time, I could put that on the fridge and allowed my wife to see the plan and what I needed to do. So we were able to plan our work week around it. We were able to plan who's getting juke, who's doing what, because the plan was on the wall. So we saved time by not needing to have conversations on the day. Oh, babe, I need to get out and do a 45-minute to an hour swim, because she just knew 2 days beforehand that I was going to be doing that. So having that plan and that, having a structure that you wanted to follow saved so much time and thought, because it was just there. It was on my phone, it was on my laptop, it was on the fridge. My wife was across it, Duke was across it. It was just a non-negotiable. And that in itself was just one of the real first eye-openers as to how important a coach is, was having that plan. Nutrition, hydration plan. That's what they do. They just know. They've done it for years. They take feedback on board and they turn around and go, okay, yep, these are your numbers. This is what you need. Is that working? Is that not working? So I saved money again in having a coach that knew nutrition, that knew hydration, and where you could kind of, okay, use this, it's cheaper, or maybe try this, or yeah, that's okay if you need that, but maybe come back to this, is another, pro column that. And then as a result, because they know what they're dealing with nutrition plans, your performance increases off the bat. You're able to train longer, recover better. Everything just become a little bit easier. So the experience and the knowledge that a coach has, a good coach, in regards to training, is so beneficial. Like what I took away from having somebody just, you just ring and have your conversation each week and go, oh, this is working, this is not working. It's like, okay, change this, change that. You're not spending hours Googling what seat do I need to be using or what should I do, because you've just got somebody on hand that not only knows, they've dealt with this for so long. So yeah, it was really the coaching experience, and having a coach for those 2 events was an absolute game changer. The bottom line, in summary, about coaching, do you need one? Yes. I reckon if you can afford it, that's the other thing too. Like, knowing the financial stress that doing an Ironman can bring to somebody's life or a household. If you're in a position that you can afford it, as I said, you save money with a coach. You save money with nutrition. You're not wasting time or money. You're saving both time and money through having a coach, which is a weird thing to say, that you pay a weekly fee, but you actually end up saving money. It's invaluable having that there. So if you can afford it, definitely. If you can't afford it, lean on the internet, grab a program, and just kind of know that, just make it fun and just ask some other people. But I really think if you're in a position to spend money, your money's far better spent on a coach than it would be going and buying, a stupidly expensive bike or wheel set. Like, spend your money on a coach if you can. Secondly, what do you want? Like, if you're somebody who wants performance, if you want results, if you want to learn, grab a coach. If you're someone who doesn't find that stuff important, if you're someone who's just, oh yeah, I can swim, I know how to ride a bike, I can run, I just want to get the medal, I just want to have it on my resume, I've done it, you probably don't need a coach. Your day's going to be far more enjoyable with a coach, but you don't actually need one. There's a wealth of content on YouTube and the internet about, how to do transitions and what to eat and what to drink. There's plenty of other podcasts that can kind of walk you through one. So I wouldn't say it's a necessity if it's not worth it for you and what you're doing. Bottom line, do you need a coach? I'm going to say yes. Every day of the week, I'm going to say yes. RPG, you've been absolutely amazing to myself and to Bottle.It. We have access to some of the best coaches in our community of Ironman. Like, I've had the chance over the last 3 years to spend time with the guys from Koa, Hurt Locker, Coogee Tri Club, Floral, Newcastle, like all these clubs and coaches everyone's in each other's network, because it's such a small community. It's such a small percentage of people that do triathlon. Everyone knows everyone. So I've seen coaching relationships, not only with myself and RPG, but seen other people, and I know those coaches. And that's one of the other really important things to look at, and I think can kind of get overlooked. The relationship with your coach is probably one of the most important things. If you've got a coach that you don't respect, or you don't value their opinion or their program, it's not going to work. You're going to waste your money. So definitely look around. There's numerous coaches, there's numerous community groups, there's numerous clubs. Find something that fits you, find something that aligns with you. It'll go a long way in ensuring that relationship is productive, because that's probably one of the most important things, is that when someone tells you to jump, you really want to be saying how high. You don't want to be questioning what they're saying. That's I think that's another non-negotiable. So, end of the day, coaching's cool. I highly recommend one. Do research. Who's in your area? If they're in your area and they have access to a group of athletes, jump in. Like that can make it even better. But definitely do your research on coaching and get around a coach. Now, I've rambled for 33 minutes. I hope there's been something in that as we move forward. So in conclusion, Busso in reflection. Busso was unreal. It 100% wasn't the race that I was going there for. I was going there to race and do a personal best and have a great time. COVID once again raising its head to, prevent me from racing or having a great race. It was a cruel little twist, but that's life. You get that. There are people far worse off than me, so not going to have a pity party about that. Alcohol free. If you can, do it. Do it for a period of time. Do it for a month. Do it for 2 weeks, just to give yourself that little win. If you're struggling with some head noise, get rid of alcohol. It's a really quick fix, and yeah, definitely has so many positive implications in your life. Manage it well, and it's another toolkit you can have to some mental clarity. Is a coach worth it? Yeah, 100% it's worth it. Like I said, we've had access through Bottle.It. We have athletes race in Floral that get coached by numerous coaching groups, and 90% of the time they're all positive experiences, and the athlete racing becomes a far better athlete because of the coach in their life. It's a relationship that's super important. Make sure you get the right coach, but it's money well spent. You'll learn, you'll grow, you might just learn something about yourself you didn't know before. So yeah, definitely definitely look around. I'll throw some information in my bio about a cool thing that RPG are doing. Like I said, I'm pro RPG because I've used RPG since 2022, but other coaching platforms and groups are just as beneficial. That's just the one I personally know and use. So that's why I'm sharing their stuff more than any other stuff. That's it. Apologies for the break. Apologies for not doing episode 14 at Busselton. I had full intentions to, but like I said, all of this stuff and more is Bottle.It's pretty much made up. It has been made up as we go out of necessity. I'm learning to juggle time, juggle expectations, juggle Bottle.It as I go, and it's something that there's joy in making it up as I go, and flexibility and opportunities that come from making it up as I go. But we are moving towards a more streamlined structure in 24-25, so we can kind of keep things far more consistent. So we appreciate your patience and your understanding, and always appreciate your support. It's people like yourself listening to this, watching this, being a part of this community, wearing the Floral, talking about the Floral, that helps us continue to grow. And there might be someone somewhere that just needs to be reminded that you can do hard things and good things happen. So yeah, continue to keep flying the Floral, and we'll see you guys very soon, hopefully with an announcement. We have a few more interviews coming up, but there's a big announcement and a big series about to come. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.